Welcome to Late Night Sports Special Episode 24. We are doing an all-time UFC Mount Rushmore, and we have Matt Nelson, as always, and our new guest is Keith Hayes. Thank you guys for joining us.
What's going on? Pretty excited.
Yeah. We're doing a snake draft as always, and it was decided by a random wheel that Keith has the first pick, then myself, then Matt.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to go first. I get to decide. You know what? I'm going to come right out, and I got to jump over the men, and I'm going to go right into the women, and I'm going to pick Ronda Rousey. And the reason why I'm picking Ronda Rousey is it's tough because really it should have been Gina Carano. Gina Carano was supposed to be the face of UFC women's division, but she lost to Cyborg and Strikeforce, and they really couldn't market Cyborg. They were ready to market Gina Carano. Mm-hmm. So the women's division really kind of had to wait to get into the UFC. And the reason why I have to name Ronda Rousey first is due to the fact that the women's division made Dana White the biggest hypocrite in sports, because Dana White had said before that, no women in UFC, we would never see it. But as he went to the schools, he saw more and more women engaging in the sport, and he brought women over, and Ronda Rousey came in, defended her title 6 times. She killed it and held it down with just judo, and I got to give the first nods to Ronda Rousey. You can't deny her 12-2 record before she went to becoming a professional wrestler. Ronda Rousey pissed people off. She had people cheering for her. She did everything that Dana White wanted her to do for that women's division. And I've got to make her my number one pick at the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I'm happy he's let women in.
The draft.
Yeah. So it's to me, I'm happy that he let women in because it's given me my favorite UFC fighter of all time. Someone I'm not going to name because I want to take them soon. So with my first pick, I am taking John Bones Jones.
Ooh, who's trying to rebuild his character right now.
Yeah. Obviously the king of the lightweights. I don't know if we'll ever see him inside the UFC ring again, but I hope so. But no doubt that he's pretty much undefeated in the UFC with 1 no contest. But so to Matt with the first double pick.
This is going to be quite the reaction.
Uh-oh.
Since Mr. Hayes, you took the lone woman that I was going to put, if available, I have to grab the second greatest women's fighter of all time, and that would be Amanda Leila Nunes.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah, she's made a serious impact.
Yeah, she was going to be my next pick.
And with my first men's pick at welterweight, the guy that built the division, Georges St. Pierre.
Yep.
GSP. I like that. I like that pick.
All right, so now it's back.
I don't know if the UFC would have survived if GSP wasn't involved for. I feel like he came in at the right time and he did a great job of building. I mean, welterweights right now they're back, but when he left, that division was kind of all over the place for a while.
Yes. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Now it's hands down the best division they have.
Mm-hmm. So is it to me now?
I believe it's back to me.
Oh, okay.
And then you have a double pick after this.
Oh.
All right.
So picking 4, that's why Mount Rushmore is there. So we're picking our 4 who we think are Mount Rushmore.
Gotcha.
UFC fighters.
Okay, so this next one is tough. I honestly didn't think like any of these people would still be on the board. This is tough, but I have to go with an OG, Anderson Silva.
Ooh, I thought about putting him on mine. Thought about it.
The Spider.
Yep.
Yes.
I will always remember that nasty leg check. I mean, working his way back from having his leg shattered in the way it was.
He's 45 too,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And now he wants to fight Conor McGregor.
I don't know if that'll end up happening. I think that'd be a very, very dangerous thing for him to do.
It would be, but he would make a lot of money.
Yeah, he would. He definitely would.
Now it's back to Keith for his first double pick.
My first double pick. Okay, so I got to go back. I got to go way back, and this organization. To be honest, I go back to UFC 2, and I could realistically put my first 3 guys on this list. I could have picked Hoist Gracie, Tank Abbott, and Ken Shamrock, because Tank Abbott was the first to bring big-time sponsorship to the UFC. Before UFC even seen any sponsorship, this was the guy, a brawler, he brought it in. But I have to go past the Chemos, the Hoist Gracies, the Tank Abbotts, and Ken Shamrocks, and I have to go right to the guy known as the Beast, Dan Severn. And the reason why I have to put him on my Mount Rushmore is because Dan Severn is the guy who came in and changed the sport as we knew it today. Before Dan Severn, everybody pretty much had one type of class they were. They were either a jiu-jitsu guy, a brawler, a boxer, a judo guy. Dan Severn came in. He was well-rounded. He had 3 types of facets that he could do. And he ran he ran the UFC for a very long time. And I feel like Dan Severn really doesn't get the credit that he deserves for where MMA is today. So I got to go with Dan Severn. 101 wins, 19 losses. The guy was a beast. He lived up to his name. He made a lot of money in the UFC, but he really didn't get it where it was. But I got to go with Dan Severn on this pick.
For a second there, I thought you were going to say the Beast Incarnate and go with Brock Lesnar.
Well, I had Brock Lesnar for later on if nobody takes it, but I would like to see Brock Lesnar. But I'm going with the people who kind of rounded the sport out to where it is today, and that's kind of where I'm looking at. So for my next pick on my double pick, look, I got to go with the guy who Chuck Liddell came in, put the money in the pocket of UFC. He sold the buy rates were through the window with Chuck Liddell. The only thing I dislike about Chuck Liddell is the fact that he took that 3rd fight against Tito Ortiz and kind of tarnished his image. But as far as putting UFC on the map, as far as a pay-per-view component, as far as people going and buying and sitting in, all these restaurants and watching these fights, Chuck Liddell was the guy. And I think he has to be recognized for taking that sport where it is today and bringing the buy view rates in. It's Chuck Liddell, the Iceman. He 30-9, in some exciting fights, and he finished fights. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing about Chuck Liddell, finish fights. So he's my other pick.
You're kind of putting my war room into chaos right now. Chuck Liddell is going to be my next pick here. All right.
That means we think alike.
Yeah. So there's some different ways I could go here. But you just brought up putting people in seats. Mm-hmm. I got to go with Conor McGregor.
Oh, wow! You just took mine. So we're even. We are even.
But yeah, I mean, Conor McGregor. That name speaks for itself of what he's done for the sport and will continue to do.
Nice.
I'm gonna take. I think this will be a shocking decision, but I'm gonna take Cain Velasquez.
Oh,
ooh,
all right.
Jesus.
All right.
Why?
I love the heavyweights.
Yes.
And he's had more than a few battles that, they just get to the stage where no one's blocking and they're just throwing haymakers at each other. And that's, to me, one of the most exciting types of fights. And he's done a great job of his career of just battling. Anytime he's on the heavyweight card, people are watching. And then let's see. This is my fourth and final, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of different ways to go here. Could go. I mean, Shamrock, Mauricio Shogun Rua. This is a bunch of guys and girls that women, I should say.
This last pick's going to be hard.
I know. I mean, I could go Dan Henderson.
Ooh,
No,
that's a nice one.
he went 12-1 from 1997 to 2001. But I think I have to go with the guy that you also have to credit building the UFC. I think I'm going to go Randy Couture.
Ooh.
Okay. All right. All right.
It's you, right?
Yep. All right. So I'm thinking between Mighty Mouse
Ooh, yes, Demetrius.
and DC, the first true double champ. Defended both of his belts in the divisions.
My issue with Mighty Mouse, it's not so much an issue, but the reason I wouldn't put him up here is because he was a very, very quiet champion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody knew that he was the champion for as long as he was.
Yep.
You always knew when he was on a card, but it's not like McGregor where, every single day, every press conference, you were being reminded that Conor McGregor has this fight upcoming. And he's...
I feel like at the same time, though, no one compares to McGregor. But at the same time, I feel like that's just the way it is with, like, the flyweights and even the bantamweights. They just feel like, unless you're, like, a true UFC fan, you're just looking for, like, just bloodbaths or big – you're looking for, like, a KO, pretty much, in the main event. You want to see a big right hook, a big kick or something. So that's my thing with that, coming back. But I don't know. This is, like, so hard. But I mean,
you mentioned bloodbaths, specifically in the southeastern Massachusetts area.
Joe Lozon.
Yeah.
Lozon. I will always remember his battle with Jim Miller.
Yes.
Mhm.
Great fight.
He got cut early, and he kept going, and he must have lost probably 3 or 4 donations worth of blood. Other than that, he was leaking big time in that fight, but he made it to the end.
All right, so I'm going to go with DC. I'm going to take Daniel Cormier.
Wow.
First true double champ in the UFC. He's 11-2.
But is he a real double champion? I mean, he kind of walked into one of those. I mean, it's kind of
yes, but
it's a tough swallow.
Into that legal trouble. DC's career is over a lot earlier than it was, and he's never winning a belt.
He's not winning a belt at light heavyweight.
I would love to see them, Jones and DC, fight one time.
Yep, I would too. I doubt that's going to happen. I think that Francis Ngannou and John Jones fight's more likely than that. Because I honestly think DC's gonna fight what's his name? Stipe, win the belt, and then retire.
I don't know how well he'll carry the extra weight though.
John Jones?
DC.
Oh, yeah. And DC hasn't really impressed me in all of his fights either. His last fight.
That's always kind of been his thing, is that he gets gassed at some point.
Yes.
It's always that line. he's I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, there's never been a full 5-round championship fight where he's gone the distance and been at his peak for all 5 rounds. John Jones can earn the decision if he lets it get to the end.
Mm-hmm.
John Jones has been his stamina has always been on par with being a champion. So Keith, your final pick here.
It's tough.
This
It's
will be
tough. It's tough. I could go with the Golden Boy. There's so many people. I would like to throw Clay Guida up in there because he fought everybody, anybody. You know, I like Clay Guida. You know, he never backed down from anybody. I like Donald Cowboy Cerrone. I like him. But I think I got to go with a guy who was a brawler, and a lot of people tend to forget about him. I got to go with Fedor Emelianenko. I think Fedor is a guy who's underrated, and I think he brought a lot of power. Very quiet guy. I think that's my 4th pick is Fedor.
That's a good pick.
But there's so many other people. There's so many other people that we need to put for that 4th. It's hard.
It is.
I was considering Wanderlei Silva and Jose Aldo.
Ooh, Jose Aldo's another good one. Jose Aldo is really another good one. Yes.
I mean, he kind of fell off the face of the map when McGregor beat him, but for the longest time, he was undefeated and just locked down. You knew he was going to put on a show.
Right. I almost wanted to throw Rampage up there, to be honest, but I felt like Fedor kind of edges Rampage out. Just a little bit.
Yeah. Matt, you say Jose Aldo fell off the table. I think he's going to, whether I like it or not, which I do not, I think Aldo's going to get a shot at the championship.
I do. I think that's partly because McGregor's been wherever McGregor's been for the last however long.
Yeah.
McGregor wants the big money fights, and I think that's going to be his downfall. He's not going to know when to start accepting these mid-level matchups again and go against these regular guys in the UFC. I think he's going to want to do crazy things like be a 3 or 4 division champion before he goes back to fighting just the little guys.
So I want to ask Keith this question: What division do you think McGregor belongs in?
Wow, that's a tough one because we've seen him fight at 3 different levels, and I think he's that. Well, I like to see him fighting at 185. I like to see him in that 185, but 155. And if he was to move up to fight,
wait, do you mean 170?
Yes, 170. I'm talking about if he was to fight John Jones. If he was to fight John Jones.
Okay.
What would it be, like at 205? They'd have to meet at?
Yep.
I can't see him making it through a round and a half of that before he gets gassed.
He's tall, though, and I wonder if he could carry the 205 for them to meet at. I think that's –
I feel like he would need a few fights up there first, just like with Diaz when he moved up originally. Yeah. And he got gassed because of all the extra weight.
Yep, exactly. Because and another thing is, I don't know if he can make that because according to McGregor, he did say that he ate a breakfast the morning of the weigh-ins of the Cerrone fight, which is pretty much unheard of.
Right. Well, what was it? He cut a lot of weight. I forget which fight it was. He cut a ton of weight. He looked like crap, and he actually lost the fight. He cut so much weight. I felt he was unhealthy. I think that was – what was he down? What was that, the 155?
Yeah, was that against
he lost that?
Khabib?
Yeah. Was it 155 he went down to?
Yep.
Yeah. It never worked for him. The weight cuts never worked for him. And like I said, it's a topic in MMA behind the scenes, and it's tough.
He is exciting. I was at the UFC fight night in Boston in 2013 when he made his American debut.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very exciting guy to watch live.
I'm sure.
And they love him. You know, he's had his legal issues too, but they still love him. You know.
I mean, another guy in heavyweight, Alistair Overeem,
Oh,
who just
yes.
won. He's a good honorable mention too.
Yeah, he is a good honorable mention.
I was expecting him to be a gatekeeper this last fight. I felt like that's what they were throwing him out there for, and it proved me wrong. Proved me wrong.
Yeah, that would have been a good story if, but Overeem won.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was wild. Actually, I dozed off. I fell asleep during that fight live, and I woke up. The first thing I saw, what was the guy's name he was fighting?
Walt Harris.
Walt Harris. I saw Walt Harris highlight of knocking Overeem down in the first round. So I quickly looked. I said, "Oh, Walt Harris won. You know, that's probably the end of Alistair Overeem's career." Then I fell back asleep. It wasn't until noon the next day when I went and looked. It's, oh my God, Overeem came back. Now I got to watch the replay to see what happened because the highlights I saw were all of Walt Harris.
Yep. I honestly thought he won that. I still believe that Dan Miragliotta should have stopped that fight in the first round. He just let it keep going. Overeem was getting pummeled.
He was getting pummeled, but he was still defending.
True. But I would definitely like to see Overeem climb back up to the top. And then I would like us to go around and just say everyone that we drafted here. And Keith, you can start off.
Well, I did. Oh, who we finally picked? Well, I picked Rousey.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So my first pick was Ronda Rousey. Second pick was Dana B. Severin, Chuck the Iceman Liddell, and then Conor McGregor would have been my other pick, which you stole. So I went with Fedor Emelianenko.
Yep. Then mine was John Bones Jones, Anderson Silva, Conor McGregor, and Daniel Cormier.
I've got Amanda Nunes, Georgia St. Pierre, Cain Velasquez, and Randy Couture.
I'm still mad that I didn't get Nunes.
I got to say, Keith, I'm shocked you sprung for Rousey first overall. I feel like she would have fell to at least the second round before she was picked if you didn't grab her.
Yeah, you know what? I wanted to acknowledge her right away because I know you guys know your stuff, and I was like, these guys might come with Rousey right away. So I said, let me get her out there. I don't think she may not last to the second round. So I had to pick her.
I thought it was going to go, you take Bones. I thought John was going to take Nunes, and I was going to take Rousey and GSP.
Honestly, I was going to take GSP second, and then when it got back to me, I was going to take Amanda, whether Ronda was there or not. But
Amanda's a beast. Yeah, Amanda's a beast. Yeah.
She's going to defend her featherweight belt for the first time this Saturday. I'm going to be watching that. I don't think she'll have a problem with that.
No, I don't think so.
Felicia Spencer. She's a huge favorite.
The interesting thing with Rousey is that, you know, usually when you pay $60 for a pay-per-view, you want the main event to go 3 or 4 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't so much the case with Ronda Rousey. Everyone was very excited to see her lock in an armbar 13 seconds into the fight.
Yeah.
Just the mastery of it was just on another level for Rousey. That's why I've got her above Nunes.
Yeah, I'm also I was thinking about this for a while. I'm kind of like thinking of what Amanda will do, kind of. So I'm kind of like foreshadowing her continuing, definitely going on a run at bantamweight and I think featherweight as well. But no doubt, I mean, I can't like say that Ronda wasn't good. I mean, she was the women's side of the UFC. She put them on the map. She got them into the UFC pretty much. So,
and there was a time period there where the women had to dominate because they had some injuries to their top men, and the women had to carry for a little while there in the UFC, and that's when he realized, wow, these ladies can carry this, because he had no choice, because he had 2 fights scheduled, and both those guys went down due to injury.
I think Velasquez was one of them.
Yes, yep, it was, and the women had to carry, and they moved up. They ended up having to move up, and they held it down, and it was a great thing for the sport, to be honest.
Yep. I think Matt has to run soon, so we're gonna wrap it up here.
Cool.
Thank you, Keith and Matt, for coming on. It was fun conversation. Good draft, and thank you everyone for watching. Make sure to subscribe to us on our YouTube page at Late Night Sports. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Andrew, I'm sure we'll put it up right here. Make sure to go vote. Make sure to go vote on this, who you think won this UFC Mount Rushmore. And until next time, peace.